Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Lewy is here from the Health and Wellness Spot. Once again, welcome to this video that I'm going to react to a post that you people have actually tagged me and asked me to actually make a video to educate more of the masses against misinformation in the medical field. So I appreciate every single tag, I appreciate every like, every subscription, and every comment, including the share that you're doing to my videos and our channel. We are because of you. Thank you so much for that. All right, keep tagging us in those videos and those posts that you actually think we need to react to, so that we bridge the gap between the general public and the healthcare institutions. Okay, so thank you for this tag. Now, this tag comes from most of you, and is basically on Facebook. There's a platform on Facebook that is run by a lady called 𝗘𝘅𝗽𝗶 𝗫𝘀. All right, and the first thing that caught my attention on her platform was the fact that she has a banner that says helping women reverse diabetes. You can check out her Facebook page and see if the information that is there is actually making sense to you. Okay, so she says helping women reverse diabetes through plant-based nutrition. First red flag was helping women. Why not just help everybody reverse diabetes? Because I don't think we are here to be gender biased. We're here to help people, if at all we are genuine people, right? That was number one. Number two is reversing diabetes through plant-based nutrition. You know very well that I've never been an advocate of vegan diets and plant-based diets. I advocate for people to eat vegetables and avocados, but I've never advocated for people to just stick on vegan diets, and there's a reason. Most people who are advocates of plant-based diets, or most people who consume plant-based diets, they suffer a lot of vitamin deficiencies, because most of the plant-based diets don't have this vitamin in abundance. So the B vitamins becomes a serious challenge when you're on a vegan diet. That means you will be now a client to the supplement industry. So you'll have to actually supplement where you actually missed. And that is a very big gap that brings in issues. But they never tell you about this. They tell you how we are not designed to eat meat, and meat is dangerous, and all that thing, and all those myths about it. But they never tell you the real deal behind the problems that people who are actually on plant-based diets experience. However, that was not the story for today. The story for today is, you guys tagged me into a post, so I had to go through her platform to actually understand what she does. And I assume because she says family and lifestyle medicine doctor, in brackets MD, helping reverse chronic conditions through plant nutrition. So I don't know if she's a doctor or she's a nutritionist. I don't know. But again, that's none of our business. So let's go straight to the point that you tagged me. If you go through her platform, I noted a lot of things here. One, there was a post that she says telling people to eat whole plants and avoid animal foods is a cult, question mark. Eat food from the ground should be easy to understand. I mean, that made sense a little bit. And then two things that caught my attention, and one of it you tagged me in, but the second one is this one, that how do you get enough nutrients in one meal a day? Eating this way is messing up your relationship with food. Food should be enjoyed, and that is what you get eating whole plants. Okay, so an OMAD will actually mess your system entirely. So she doesn't advocate for one meal a day and intermittent fasting, but this is the point. She said that the leading cause of death in the world is coronary heart disease. That is very true. And we talked about heart disease in a live or on a live, and I made you understand how it comes to happen. I told you you should never focus on the heart. You should focus on vascular inflammation, the blood vessels, because a heart disease is a symptom of blood vessel inflammation. And inflammation in blood vessels is caused by seed oils, sugars, wheat products, overuse of antibiotics and medication. Some statins can actually cause that problem also. And of course, alcohol and cigarette smoking. So all these chemicals come in hand to expose you, even processed foods, to expose you to vascular inflammation. That secondary to that, you start straining the heart and you end up having the coronary artery disease. But she says this: the leading cause of death in the world is coronary artery disease, a disease caused by cholesterol deposits in the arteries. Dietary cholesterol comes from animal foods. Why are people promoting animal diets? That was her question. Now let's break it down a little bit. So the first statement is very right, that the leading cause of death is coronary heart disease. And then the second part, she says a disease caused by, so she's explaining coronary heart disease, and she says it's a disease caused by cholesterol deposits in the arteries. That is where now we draw the lines, because the truth is cholesterol has been blamed for sugar problems. All right, atherosclerosis is a complication of sugars, not cholesterol. Cholesterol is coming in to actually clean up the mess, but is entirely blamed for exactly what it's actually trying to fix. So we blame cholesterol, yet we protect the sugars. And we are talking about plant-based diets here, which are coming in with a lot of sugars. But we don't want to talk about that, right? We want to talk about and blame the cholesterol for causing the atherosclerosis. I told you that cholesterol comes in to form or clean up the problem in the blood vessel, clean up the inflammation. That's why the liver is making so much of it. All right. And how many people do you know who have suffered a heart attack and they've not been eating fatty meats? How many people do you know have never used ghee or tallow or coconut oil, but they've suffered a stroke? How many people do you know have problems with their hearts, but they've never eaten 8 eggs a day? Right? Most of your people who have suffered these conditions have never been consuming the saturated fats or even the animal fats, leave alone just the animal proteins. They eat lean meat, 2 pieces possibly in a meal. They eat 1 egg or 2 eggs a week because the doctor said that. They don't use animal fats because animal fats are coming in with cholesterol, according to what she's saying, are coming in with cholesterol that's going to clog your arteries and cause you heart disease or even a stroke. But the best part of this story is, she says, dietary cholesterol comes from animal foods. Get that clear. That dietary cholesterol is the reason why we're getting all these problems, which basically comes from animal foods. So why are people promoting animal diets? I am a promoter of animal diets and keto diets, of course. And why do I do that? I do that because I understand that we need to supplement the liver with the amount of cholesterol that is needed for it to use it as a raw material to make other things. The liver is the home of cholesterol synthesis. Now realize, whether you eat the animal proteins or you don't eat the animal proteins, the liver still has the ability to form the enough cholesterol that you actually need for your system. But when you're eating the animal proteins that are coming in with the fats, what you're doing is you're actually assisting the liver to get the raw material. So it doesn't have to go a mile further to start making the cholesterol from scratch. You're actually helping and assisting it. And the animal fats are also coming in to help you absorb the fat-soluble vitamins from the plant-based diets that you're actually advocating for. So then how will you absorb the fat-soluble vitamins when you're taking the plant-based diets, avoiding the fats? They're called fat-soluble vitamins because they have to dissolve in fat for you to absorb them. This is vitamin A, D, E, and K. So already we are getting into problems now, right? But that's beyond the point. So she's actually blaming the animal proteins or the animal fats and the cholesterol that comes with them for the heart attacks and coronary heart disease. That is the syllabus talking, all right? The reality is that sugar is the problem in heart disease. The problem is not the cholesterol. Even to make it even better, look at it this way. The liver, how does it make cholesterol? The liver makes cholesterol from a substrate that is called acetyl-CoA. Now, acetyl-CoA, go back to my videos, you will see when I talked about metabolism. I told you that when you eat carbohydrates, proteins, or fats, all of them are broken down to one substrate that is called the acetyl-CoA. Now, this acetyl-CoA is the substrate that is fed into the tri-carboxylic acid cycle or the TCA cycle to produce energy, the ATP. So in the mitochondria, we don't recognize carbohydrates, proteins, or fats. We recognize acetyl-CoA. That is the end product of metabolism of these three. So when you're intending to get the energy in form of ATP, we are breaking down all these food substances into acetyl-CoA. We feed it into the mitochondria, into the TCA cycle, and we get energy from that. The Krebs cycle, we get energy from that. So therefore, telling me that if you stop eating animal proteins, your cholesterol will go down, that's a lie. Why? Because you stop eating the animal proteins. One, the liver starts to compensate for you not eating the animal protein. So therefore, it basically makes more cholesterol. And remember, cholesterol is coming in. The liver is making so much of it to fix your brain, because 80% of your brain tissue is cholesterol. To fix your nerve cells, to fix your hormones. Sex hormones are coming from cholesterol. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is coming from cholesterol. Vitamin D, which is both your immune system and a hormone, is called cholecalciferol, is coming from cholesterol. Another hormone that regulates mineral balance and blood pressure is called aldosterone. It comes from cholesterol. Your cell membrane is actually basically cholesterol, right? So the body is making so much cholesterol through the liver so that it can actually use it as a raw material to fix all these problems, including the inflammation that is being caused by sugars in the blood vessels, the one that she's actually blaming. So I don't understand this. So that is one reason. Number two, even if you stop eating animal proteins, the liver will still convert the plant-based proteins or the fruits and the sugars into acetyl-CoA and use it to make more cholesterol. So avoiding animal proteins is not you avoiding cholesterol. No, it's a lie, because it's not the animal proteins that are actually the only reason why you're bringing in cholesterol. No, you will convert all other food substrates into acetyl-CoA and the liver can synthesize cholesterol from that. Number three, you know very well that most people who have actually suffered a heart disease or a stroke, most of them have never been consuming these animal proteins, the fatty ones to be specific. So what is wrong with the animal proteins now that these people did not consume it, they ended up having a stroke or a heart attack. And now if they consume it, they still end up in the same direction. It doesn't even make sense. Look at the Masais, look at the Samburus, look at the Kushites who consume a lot of animal proteins and they never suffer all these conditions. They are very lean. They are not obese. Look at them. How is it possible that these people have the lowest chances of getting heart diseases and strokes when they are consuming the animal fat, they are consuming the animal proteins? So if you start comparing this, you will actually realize that most of these people that we call doctors and nutritionists online are basically there for the numbers. Some of them are actually being paid to actually make sure that the agenda of the pharmaceutical company is actually achieved. So we need to actually work out of the brainwashing and the mentality of the syllabus, because we went to school not to actually regurgitate the syllabus. We went to school to come out, question the syllabus and even make it better, right? Improve on it. Because how is it possible that science is evolving every single time, but we are stuck in such mindsets? We are stuck in the 80s. We are stuck in the 1900s. How is it even making sense that science evolves every single day and there's so much money pumped into research in terms of these chronic conditions, but the answer always comes down to the same things? Seed oils are still part of our diets. Sugar is still part of our diets. We only change the color of sugars from white to brown. We change the color of wheat from white to brown. We change sugar from synthetic to natural sugars. But we all know, let's say we are taking, for example, honey. Honey has glucose and fructose, that is sucrose. The same combination is in synthetic sugar, sucrose and fructose. So therefore, how is honey, because of naturalness, how is it different from the synthetic sugar, from the one that is coming from the industries? Of course, this one is added in more chemicals and all that, but the end result, the absorption into the system will be sucrose, which will be glucose and fructose. And they will be processed in the same ways. They will spike insulin. They'll cause a fatty liver, causing you insulin resistance and causing you vascular damage. Your blood vessels are suffering from insulin resistance. Your blood vessels are getting inflamed because of insulin resistance, sugar problems, not cholesterol problems. And if cholesterol was the enemy, why is the liver making so much cholesterol? Because 80% of your cholesterol in the body is actually made by the liver. So whether you eat or you don't eat, the liver will still make cholesterol. So 80% is made by the liver. Whatever we're getting in diets is basically about 15 to 20%. And what happens is there's an equilibrium that has to be established. If you eat more eggs or more fats in terms of cholesterol, the liver makes minimal cholesterol because it's getting it from the diet. When you eat no cholesterol at all, the liver makes more. So let's be honest. Yes, we want to advocate for plant-based diets, but I've seen a lot of people who have the faith of SDA, the Seventh-day Adventists, who are actually advocating mostly for these plant-based diets. They have suffered a lot. I've had women having hormonal imbalances because of this. I've had men having erectile dysfunction issues coming from the same direction. Once you question, you get into the dietary lifestyle and you understand what is actually happening. I've seen people taking a lot of supplements in terms of the B vitamin supplements because of the deficiency that is coming in with vegan diets. So as much as we want to advocate for one umbrella, which is the vegan diets, I have no problem with that. You can do whatever you want. But the truth is, we have to go into it, the science of it. We cannot just throw out statements for the sake of triggering the masses so that we get the traction onto our platforms. We need to be very sincere and very honest because we're dealing with human lives. right? And human bodies don't have spare parts. So let's be honest, as we practice medical stuff, as we practice nutrition, as we want to, because there's so much of this fallacy that is coming out with avoid wheat, avoid seed oils, and everybody's actually now a health specialist. Everybody's now treating chronic conditions. Everybody's running weight loss programs. Everybody's actually helping people reverse diabetes and hypertension. But we must be very cautious with people out here. We must be very, I'm glad that every single day we are changing mindsets and people are getting to understand. I'm glad also that people can actually ask questions as opposed to before. You will walk into a doctor or a nutritionist room or consultation house or office and they dictate what you should do. Nowadays, we don't do that. Right now, we must have concordance. We must have an agreement that this is my side of the story and this is your side of the story. So we must agree. Keep asking those questions. Keep tagging me in these types of posts. Keep tagging me those videos. I will make reaction videos to actually expound it, explain it, and then you can use these videos to actually question those people that are actually misleading you. So this is misinformation. And yes, if you want to practice plant-based diets, I have no problem. You can do that. However, understand the pros and the cons, and then understand that your problem has never been the animal proteins. Your problem has never been the red meat. No, your problem is possibly the consumption of the seed oils plus the processed meats. All right. So enjoy meat in plenty. Make it fatty. Why? Because the fat will block you from overabsorption of the protein. The fat is satiety. The fat is the only food that actually lowers insulin. Therefore, you start recovering from insulin resistance, and your blood vessel inflammation clears, and your heart survives. The fat is coming in to balance your hormones. The fat is coming in to make sure that your cells are intact. The fat is coming in to make sure that your brain tissue is intact and your memory is perfect. Your hormones are balanced, therefore no erectile dysfunction, no hormonal imbalances in women. And we've seen that all the time, right? So it's becoming more common and women are normalizing painful menstruation, lack of menstruation, infertility, obesity, and all these things. So I think that we need to question these systems. We need to improve our syllabus, but most importantly, we need to improve our thinking capacity so that when you see the demon, you question the demon.